My name is Jamie, and I work as a marketing assistant at a busy company in downtown Chicago. Every morning, I walk into the building with a smile, hoping today will be different. The office is bright, filled with chatter and the scent of fresh coffee, but something heavy hangs in the air. My colleagues seem friendly at first, but the tension often makes it hard to breathe. I often feel anxious and unappreciated, like my ideas get lost among the noise. I sense that something is off here, and as I sit at my desk typing away, I begin to wonder, should I quit my job and search for a better place? Today started like any other day, but I could sense that it would not end on a high note. As I arrived at my desk, my manager, Mr. Collins, called me into his office. My stomach dropped. I could feel my heart racing as I walked down the hallway. Mr. Collins is usually polite, but today he had a serious look on his face. It made my palms sweat. "Jamie, we need to discuss your recent report," he said, looking over my documents. I felt my cheeks flush. I had worked late last night to meet the deadline, and now doubts crept into my mind. Was the report good enough? "I put in a lot of effort," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. But Mr. Collins shook his head. He pointed out several mistakes that I hadn't noticed. Each correction felt like a blow. "You need to pay closer attention to detail," he continued. "It's crucial for our team's success." I nodded, feeling a wave of shame wash over me. Leaving his office, I felt more alone than ever. I thought about the mistakes I had made and how embarrassed I would be in front of my coworkers. What if they thought I wasn't good at my job? Would they lose respect for me? I began to doubt my abilities more than usual. The nagging voice in my head whispered, "Maybe you just don't belong here after all." As the day went on, the weight of my errors hung over me like a dark cloud. During lunch, I sat with a few friends in the break room. Sarah was chatting about her weekend plans, but I barely joined in on the conversation. Instead, I stared at my sandwich, questions spinning in my mind. What if I made more mistakes in the future? What if this report leads to bigger problems for our team? My coworker Tom noticed I was quieter than usual. "Hey Jamie, what's wrong? You seem off today." I wanted to share my worries, but I was hesitant. Sharing my feelings felt too risky. What if they thought I was weak? "I'm just tired," I finally said, not wanting to dive deeper. Tom nodded, but I could tell he sensed more than I was saying. I resumed chewing, but each bite felt heavy in my mouth. I began to think that everyone would notice my struggles, and I would be judged for them. In the afternoon, I had a meeting to present my project ideas. My heart raced as I walked into the conference room. I could feel the eyes of my team on me. I opened my mouth to speak, but my throat felt dry. Suddenly, all the self-doubt I had been harboring bubbled to the surface. What if they didn't like my ideas? What if my report mistakes made them doubt my creativity? I took a deep breath and tried to push those negative thoughts away. As I presented, my voice wavered. I glanced around the room, searching for supportive faces. A few of my team members nodded, but I couldn't shake the feeling that my earlier mistakes clouded their perception of me. After finishing, I wanted to vanish. I could sense my self-esteem dwindling. The thought of quitting nagged at my mind again. Would a different job help me escape this pit of doubt? Feeling defeated, I left the meeting room and headed back to my desk. The familiar feeling of uncertainty settled in my chest, and for a moment, I questioned whether I had the strength to face another day. As the week unfolded, the pressure at work only grew. A big project was due on Friday, and our team had to present it to the whole company. My role in this project was supposed to help regain my confidence, but instead it added to my stress. I could feel my heart pounding as I thought about the deadline looming right over me, like a dark cloud ready to burst. On Wednesday, we had a preparation meeting to review everyone's contributions. All my teammates shared their updates, showing bright enthusiasm. But when it was my turn, I struggled to speak. My hands trembled as I urged myself to share my ideas. I wanted to impress my colleagues, to show them I was capable. Yet, the moment I opened my mouth, my thoughts tangled, and I stumbled over my words. "Jamie, can you explain your part a bit more?" said Lisa, one of the more confident team members. I sensed the group's eyes on me, and I felt a heat rise in my chest. "Well, I'm working on the marketing strategy," I replied, my voice dropping off. My cheeks burned as I noticed a few people exchange confused glances. They looked disappointed. Just then I wished I could slip away and hide in a corner. After the meeting, the feeling of failure hung over me like a heavy stone. I overheard a few coworkers discussing deadlines, their voices echoing in my mind. I returned to my desk and sat down, staring blankly at my computer screen. The pressure felt unbearable, and my soul yearned for a break. I desperately wanted to nail this project, but the fear of failing again made my stomach churn. As the day progressed, my worries jumped from one corner of my mind to another. Then, a sudden email from Mr. Collins landed in my inbox. He requested an update on my section by the end of the day. I felt a wave of panic wash over me, and frustration bubbled up inside. Why can't he understand how much I already have on my plate? I mumbled to myself. It seemed unfair, and I couldn't ignore the urge to simply give up. Just then Tom stopped by my desk. "Hey Jamie, you look a bit frazzled. Everything okay?" he asked, concern painted on his face. I sighed, wishing I could spill everything to him, but admitting my struggles felt impossible. I plastered on a smile and nodded. "Yeah, just a little busy," I answered, hoping it sounded convincing. Yet inside I felt a storm brewing. The greater the pressure became, the more I worried I would not be able to deliver. With the deadline tightening like a noose around my neck, I could sense panic creeping in. Frustration bubbled in me as I opened the project file on my computer. The words and charts blurred together, leaving me feeling paralyzed. But somewhere in that haze of emotions, a tiny light sparked within me. I realized that I couldn't just let my insecurities dictate my actions. What if I turned my fears into motivation? I needed to flip the script. Instead of allowing the pressure to crush me, maybe I could use it to drive my efforts. I decided that I would take the rest of my day seriously. It was time to step up. As I took a deep breath and closed my eyes for a moment, I set my intentions. I would tackle my section one piece at a time, focus on what I could do rather than what I feared. I opened the project file like someone stepping into new territory. I would turn that anxiety into creativity and prove to myself that I could overcome my challenges. Determination welled inside me, pushing out the shadows of self-doubt. Today was just another step forward, and I was ready to take it. The day of the presentation had finally arrived. I woke up with a knot in my stomach, my mind racing with thoughts about what could go wrong. As I walked into the office, I felt the weight of every gaze as if everyone could sense my anxiety. I whispered positive affirmations to myself, reminding me that I could face this challenge. "You are capable. You can do this," became my silent chant. Once I reached the conference room, the atmosphere was charged with nervous energy. My teammates chatted among themselves, but I felt distant, a spectator rather than part of the group. I set my notes on the table and fidgeted with my pen, breathing deeply to calm my racing heart. Just as I was starting to gather my thoughts, Mr. Collins entered the room, and a hush fell over everyone. As I listened to my coworkers present their sections, I forced myself to focus. I admired their confidence, their fluid delivery, and the relaxed way they engaged with the rest of the team. As each presentation ended, I felt a mix of admiration and despair. What if I couldn't deliver the same level of energy? What if I made a fool of myself? Then it was my turn. As Mr. Collins gestured for me to begin, I felt my palms sweating. I stood up, taking a moment to center myself. I glanced around the room and my eyes fell on Tom. His encouraging smile reminded me of all the preparation I had done. I reminded myself of the determination that had sparked within me days ago. This was my chance to show not just my team but also myself that I could do this. Taking a deep breath, I started to speak. The words flowed from my mind, and I began presenting my ideas with newfound clarity. I gestured enthusiastically, explaining the marketing strategy we had developed. My voice grew steadier, and the fear that once gripped my heart began to fade away. The tension in my shoulders relaxed as the feedback from my teammates encouraged me to keep going. But just when I thought the moment was in my control, an unexpected complication hit. During my presentation, I mentioned a key statistic that I felt would strengthen my argument. Suddenly, Lisa interjected, "Are you sure about that number? I thought we had agreed on a different figure." I stumbled over my confidence. Doubt returned and crashed over me like a wave. Had I made another mistake? In that instant, I felt panic creeping back. My knees felt weak and I almost wanted to retreat. But then I heard a voice deep inside telling me to address it head-on. Instead of shying away, I took a breath and acknowledged her point. "You're right, Lisa. Let me clarify that. I can check the figures and make sure we are on the same page. With my vulnerability exposed, I felt the tension shift. Instead of retreating, I took the opportunity to stand tall. Through this project, it's important for us to collaborate and make adjustments together. I focused on the teamwork rather than my earlier mistake. Let's ensure we have everything right for our audience. This moment of honesty turned the tide. I could feel my confidence rebuilding as I engaged with the team, asking for their input. Finally, as I wrapped up my presentation, an unexpected change occurred. Instead of feeling defeated, I felt empowered. By allowing my mistake to fuel honest discussion, I reshaped the atmosphere in the room. The nods and the supportive glances reassured me. I could see the shift in my teammates. They wanted to applaud our effort as a united team. With this breaking point, I realized that this journey wasn't about perfection. It was about embracing challenges and working together. For once, I felt I was stepping out of the shadow of doubt and walking bravely into the light of possibility. This was the defining moment I had been waiting for. Fear transformed into determination as I faced the challenge head-on. As I finished my presentation, a wave of relief washed over me. For the first time in a long while, I actually felt proud of what I had done. When I glanced around the room, I was met with warm smiles and encouraging nods. It was as if a weight had lifted off my shoulders, and the tension that gripped the air began to dissipate. Mr. Collins cleared his throat and said, "Thank you, Jamie. That was a solid presentation. Your engagement with the team has set a positive example for us all." I could hardly believe my ears. The warmth in his voice was like sunshine breaking through the clouds after a relentless storm. A grateful smile spread across my face. Hearing that praise filled me with reassurance. As the meeting continued, my coworkers chimed in to support my ideas. Tom said, "The way you handled the numbers showed real strength, Jamie. That's what we need in our team." His words bolstered my confidence even further. Surprisingly, even Lisa leaned in and expressed her admiration, saying, "I appreciate you being open, Jamie." It made me reflect on how I can improve my approach as well. My heart swelled with pride, and I felt like I had closed a chapter in my journey of uncertainty. Instead of being judged for my mistakes, I was met with understanding and respect. This was a critical moment for me, more meaningful than any applause I could receive. It showed me that vulnerability did not signal weakness. It indicated a willingness to grow and improve within a team. But amid the praise, a thought crept in: was I truly ready to face the challenges ahead? I remembered the earlier moments of doubt, the struggle to speak clearly, and the constant nagging voice in my head that threatened to hold me back. That hesitation suddenly felt distant. Sitting there among my peers, I realized that to move forward, I needed to embrace this newfound confidence. After the meeting, the energy in the office shifted. Conversations became more collaborative, and people began discussing ways to refine our project together. I felt a part of something larger, discovering that my contributions mattered. I was not just an employee who worried about mistakes. I was a valuable member of a supportive team. In the following days, I pursued this momentum, approaching tasks with a fresh perspective. I collaborated closely with Lisa, offering her help on her section. Every time I did, I felt a sense of satisfaction. Seeing my peers flourish filled me with a joy I had not expected. It opened my eyes to the power of shared ambition. Through this experience, I learned an essential lesson about my job and myself. Collaboration was the key to success in a team environment. My strengths became even more apparent when I was willing to share my vulnerabilities. I realized I didn't need to wear a mask of perfection all the time. The journey of growth was messy, but with that mess came genuine connections. On the last day of our project lead-up, we gathered for a final review. My heart brimmed with anticipation because I saw the determination in each team member's eyes. I no longer faced work with dread but excitement. Instead of worrying about what might go wrong, I looked forward to what we could create together. We had bonded through our shared fears and challenges, learning to support each other along the way. In that moment, I knew I would carry these lessons with me throughout my career. Taking risks, embracing vulnerability, and seeking collaboration were essential for personal and professional growth. I was ready for whatever challenges came next. The breakthrough had not only transformed my perspective, it had ignited in me a passion for teamwork that would guide my path forward. In the days following the presentation, I found myself entering the office with a newfound sense of purpose. Each morning felt brighter, and the atmosphere at work seemed lighter. One afternoon, as I sat at my desk reviewing the project files, I received an invitation from Mr. Collins to have a one-on-one chat. My heart raced, but this time it was from curiosity rather than fear. When I entered his office, he greeted me with a smile. "Jamie, I wanted to talk about the presentation and how you handled everything," he said as he motioned for me to take a seat. I settled in, eager yet apprehensive about the feedback I might receive. "You surprised me," he continued. "Your willingness to adapt during the meeting showed real growth. You displayed a confidence I hadn't seen before." I felt a blush creeping up my cheeks. It was reassuring to know that my efforts had not gone unnoticed. "What's most impressive is how you've begun to understand the importance of team dynamics," he added. Hearing his words gave me a chance to reflect on my experience. I suddenly realized how much I had changed in a short time. My earlier fears seemed like distant memories. "Thank you, Mr. Collins. I've learned that vulnerability can be a strength," I replied honestly. "I used to think that I had to be perfect to gain respect, but now I see it's about teamwork and collaboration." He nodded, his eyes twinkling with approval. "That's an important realization, Jamie. Teamwork is built on trust, and you've taken a significant step towards fostering that trust." I pondered this, allowing the weight of his words to settle. Although I once shied away from sharing my struggles, I now recognized that being open had propelled me forward. After our discussion, I sought out Tom. I wanted to share what I had learned and hear his thoughts. When I found him by the coffee machine, I took a deep breath and said, "Hey Tom, I just had a chat with Mr. Collins about the presentation." "Really? How did that go?" he asked, pouring a cup of coffee. "It went well. He said I handled it confidently," which made me think about how much I've grown through this experience. As I spoke, I felt the pieces coming together in my mind. Opening up had not only benefited me, but it had also strengthened our teamwork. Tom leaned against the counter, nodding. "I really admired how you faced everything this time. You took the chance to share your weaknesses, and it inspired the rest of us." A sense of pride swelled within me. I hadn't just grown personally, my actions had triggered a ripple effect within the team. "Thank you for your support along the way," I said sincerely. It felt good to acknowledge how encouragement works both ways. "I think we should celebrate our success together. We all contributed to making this project better." "Definitely," Tom exclaimed, clearly enthused. "Let's plan something. After everything we've been through, we deserve it." In that moment, I felt a sense of belonging that I had never experienced before. I understood that I could count on my coworkers, and in return they could rely on me. Reflecting on the transformation I had undergone over the past weeks, I understood that this wasn't merely about completing a project. I had discovered the value of connection, the strength of vulnerability, and the power of collaboration. I comprehended that success in a workplace stems not only from individual talent, but also from mutual support. Stepping back from this experience, I recognize now that personal growth isn't a solitary journey. It thrives within relationships, through shared challenges, and through the collective goal of succeeding together. In embracing this shift in perspective, I felt many doors opening for me, filled with possibilities I had never before imagined. My path had just begun. With each passing week, I held on to the lessons I had learned. The experience from the presentation lingered in my mind, shaping my approach to work and life in ways I never expected. Recognizing the importance of vulnerability and collaboration became my guiding principles. One Monday morning, I found myself preparing for a project planning meeting. This time, instead of feeling anxious, I mentally laid out my thoughts. I wrote down ideas and questions I wanted to discuss. The key was to be open and proactive, rather than waiting for someone else to take charge. As I entered the conference room, I spotted my coworkers chatting and sharing ideas comfortably. A wave of excitement coursed through me. This was a team united by shared goals. During the meeting, I made a conscious effort to engage with my teammates. I raised my hand to present one of my ideas first. "I think we should focus on our target audience and create content that really speaks to them," I suggested confidently. Unlike before, my thoughts flowed freely without the weight of worry pressing down. I felt my words have the power to contribute rather than just fill space. As I spoke, I noticed a shift not just in myself but also in the reactions of my colleagues. They leaned in, nodding, and one by one they began to build on my ideas. Lisa chimed in, "That's a great point, Jamie. Perhaps we could also gather feedback from our audience after each campaign to refine our approach. I smiled, feeling a sense of camaraderie. The feedback loop we established made the meeting feel more like a collaboration than a routine exercise. Afterward, the discussion evolved into a brainstorming session where everyone participated, and it was an entirely different experience from past meetings. I remembered how alone I felt before, yet now I felt a part of something greater. The energy in the room was electrifying, and my confidence grew with every word spoken. I felt empowered to voice my opinion and support my team. That afternoon during my lunch break, I sat down with Tom, and our conversation naturally shifted to work. "You know, I've been thinking about how good it felt to share ideas today," I said as I took a bite of my sandwich. "I never realized how much of a difference collaboration could make." Tom nodded, sipping his drink. "Exactly. It's like we're feeding off each other's energy. It's funny how some mistakes are a blessing in disguise," I reflected. "It pushed me to transform the way I approach challenges." He agreed with a grin. "Sometimes the hardest moments lead to the best growth. You stepped up when it mattered most, Jamie." People noticed that. I felt my heart warm at his words. We spent the rest of the lunch discussing our goals for future projects, and with each exchange, I saw our team spirit strengthen. I began thinking about how to implement regular team check-ins, not just for feedback, but for sharing constructive ideas. I wanted to create a safe space where everyone could express thoughts without fear. As the weeks passed, I carried this ethos into my work routines. I actively sought ways to bond with my colleagues outside of meetings. Organizing team lunches and casual brainstorming sessions helped us feel more connected both personally and professionally. Each time we shared ideas or feedback, I noticed confidence blossoming around the table. My attitude began to shift, too. I started viewing challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles, embracing the ebb and flow of teamwork. Flexibility became my new mantra, knowing that mistakes were part of the process. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations, I now welcomed them, eager to find solutions collaboratively. Looking back, I realized that growth is a journey, not a knockout point in time. Every setback was a stepping stone towards a brighter understanding of my role in the workplace. Armed with a new mindset, I felt ready to tackle anything that came my way. Each small success built on the last, and with this I was becoming the confident, open-minded team member I had always aspired to be. As months passed since the successful presentation, I felt a noticeable change within myself. Each day at the office became an opportunity to embrace not just my own growth, but also that of my teammates. Confidence had blossomed within me, reshaping the way I approached both challenges and victories. No longer was I weighed down by self-doubt. I understood that mistakes were essential stepping stones toward essential improvements. The shifts in my mindset had become evident in my interactions and initiatives. I often took the lead in projects, volunteering ideas during meetings without the nagging fear of being wrong. Each time my coworkers echoed or supported my proposals, I felt that spark of excitement. It was as if I was no longer just working for my personal success. I was actively contributing to the team's progress. With that, I began to thrive on collaboration, relishing the synergy around me. One day, while working on a new marketing campaign, I suggested we create a feedback loop with our customers. Inspired by the feedback I received from the presentation, I felt that listening to our audience could strengthen our initiatives. "Let's reach out to our clients after each campaign to see how we're doing," I proposed eagerly to my colleagues. The excitement in the room was palpable as everyone jumped in, contributing ideas and agreeing on how to implement the method. Our conversation that day made me realize how far I had come. I was once shy about sharing my thoughts, but now I advocated for innovation, striving to ensure that every voice within our team was heard. Instead of shying away from challenges, I was seeking them out, willing to learn as I went. Peer mentorship developed organically as team members confided in me about their own doubts. I encouraged them just as I had realized the importance of encouragement and openness in my journey. Not long after, Mr. Collins called me into his office again. As I entered, the familiar butterflies fluttered in my stomach, but I quickly calmed my nerves. He smiled and said, "I've been watching how you've taken initiative and transformed our team approach to projects. Your growth in this role has been remarkable. I see great things for you in the future." Feeling gratitude well up inside me, I replied, "Thank you, Mr. Collins. Your support has meant a lot. and these experiences have taught me more than I realized. My heart swelled as I recognized how far I had come. The shy assistant who once dreaded each meeting was evolving into a key contributor. As I took on new challenges, I also dedicated time to develop my skills further. I enrolled in an online course about effective communication, eager to refine my ability to engage my team. I saw each lesson as an investment, not just in my career, but in my relationships with those around me. It didn't stop there. I also reached out to colleagues for informal networking sessions, where we could share best practices and insights in a relaxed environment. Reflecting on my journey, I recognized that while I was more confident now, I still had room to grow. I didn't have to be perfect. I embraced the fact that learning was a continuous process filled with ups and downs. With a newfound appreciation for the journey, I felt excited about the opportunities lying ahead. Every day at work felt like a fresh start, filled with possibility and hope. I was ready for the challenges on the horizon, prepared to share my thoughts and lift others, as they had lifted me. Looking forward to the next project, I felt like I was exactly where I was meant to be. My heart brimming with optimism, I embraced the future for its potential. Together with my team, I saw everything we could achieve collaboratively, and that vision filled me with an energy I couldn't wait to act upon. This journey was just the beginning, and I was ready to move forward along this path of growth and discovery, not just for me, but for every member of my team.